These cucumber plants are special because it's not the mother plant, the original, and it's not the daughter plant, which was cloned, but this is actually the grandchildren plants of the mother plant. I started out with one cucumber plant, cloned it into 3 daughter plants, and then I took cuttings from those, and that's what you see here. These are the tertiary cuttings off of that original plant. Now, these are the only ones that were left, and having come back from being away, I found out that they are not looking particularly healthy. As a matter of fact, let's take a quick look at one of these leaves, and you could tell that nutrients have gotten out of balance. There's a little bit of dryness to that leaf. But on the other hand, there are some parts of the plant that are still looking reasonably fresh. So what am I going to do? Well, I would like to try to save this particular cucumber plant or in the cuttings because it has a parthenocarpic quality to it that does not require bees and fruits easily indoors. So what I'd like to do is take the healthiest parts of these clone cuttings and try to get those rooted in another system and find out whether or not I can get these unhealthy looking cuttings to grow into mature producing plants. Let's start out by taking a quick look underneath the grow bowl. This is a Mars Hydro Line 12. Has about a 24-watt light in it. Holds about a little over 6 liters of water inside. And there, the roots are actually looking very healthy. They are white, branching, fibrous. I think that if the roots were unhealthy, I probably would not try this. And the plants are in neoprene clone collars. The neoprene clone collars, if you're curious, are just like a little wafer. You can search for these on Amazon.com. I'll put a link in my video. They have a split in them, and it allows you to open those up and put a cutting inside, close it. You can get these in different sizes. I got mine for 2-inch net cups, and they squeeze right into the net cup like that. Holds the cutting secure. However, for what I'm doing right now, I'm going to wait a little bit before introducing the net cup. I'm just going to put the clone collar around the cutting and drop that into a different system. Eventually, I'll probably want to use the 2-inch net cup because the Pail circulating system that I have over on the other side here uses the 2-inch net cup. So let's get started. I'm going to go back from this vine to the base. They've kind of rambled a little bit, and try to pull the plant up, roots included, out of the seed deck hole on the top here without ripping the roots. Sometimes that's more easily done than others. There's a little bit of resistance, and I'm going to go underneath the deck to try to get those loose. What I'm taking off the top right now are covers. They cover up the additional openings in the deck. So if I'm not growing a lot of plants for like seedlings, it helps to prevent algae from growing from the light pushing through these holes into the nutrient water. Lifting this up, looks like I've got one more cover. Lifting this up, I could see where the roots have kind of grown together a little bit between the cuttings. So I'm going to take my hands and just gently try to separate those. If you get a little bit of tearing, it's okay, as long as you try to keep most of the roots intact. It's about like pulling string or yarn apart. Okay, there's one separated, and there is the other. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to go ahead and come back up to the top and just start fishing those roots up and out. Now, I'm going to remove the clone collar that I had from the cutting that was in here. Go to the base section of the vine that is looking unhealthy, and I'm going to snip that off. That leaves me a healthier portion of the plant that I could try to root, and you could say that, well, it already has roots. What I'm going to end up doing, though, is I'm going to cut off some of the roots that are on here, leaving about that much, and try to get this plant growing more actively before I introduce it into a larger system. Now, that collar that I just had on can be reused, and all I'm going to do is open that up, put it around, and close it up like that. And then what I would like to do is get 2 additional cuttings taken off of this particular unit. So bear with me while I try to identify which ones I'd like to have. Well, that really does not look healthy on the end. There's some unhealthy leaves here also, so I will probably want to take off the unhealthy leaves. And I don't need all of this vine either. So let's take off the very end of it. There's even baby cucumbers on these. They've been in this system a little longer than I had hoped. I'm going to take off the baby cucumbers as well, because the plants are in no condition to start putting on full fruited cucumbers. And pinching off the blooms, pinching off the dried up stems. I'm going to fish these roots out. Now that one rooted a lot better than the first one. Gosh, look at those roots. I don't need all of those. So once again, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to cut off a bunch of those. And like I said, these could be put into a larger system right now, but I'm going to try to encourage them to actively start growing again on the top before I do so. Now, in the system, I have 2 more. Oh, that's a pretty one. And how about the last one? Let's take a look at that also. And that one's not too bad either. Well, I want to make a good decision, so I'm going to take off the old growth that is not looking healthy. Take off the fruit. I think if I take off the baby cucumber there and come up the plant a little bit, there you go. There's 1, 2, 3 cucumbers that are there, and there are 1, 2 cucumbers lower down. So these plants put a lot of baby cucumbers on. I would not suggest growing them to maturity in a smaller container such as what they're coming out of right now. The roots tend to form a massive structure, and they need that root structure in order to produce full-size cucumbers. I have grown them in a small container like this and find that they only mature 1 cucumber at a time. However, when I put them into a larger container, I easily get close to 7 or 8 full-size mature cucumbers growing in that larger system. You can do this with a lot of your plants. It's a nice way to save them, especially when you come back and you find that they're not looking as optimal as perhaps you would have hoped so. So here we are. The system I'm putting them into only has a 10-watt LED light, and it's sufficient to try to get these rooted and going again. What I did was I took the best one and lowered that down in until I could feel the stem of the cutting touch the bottom, and it's going to flop over a little bit if I'm not careful. However, to get the best results, you want to use the best of the cuttings. I've got 4, and I'll have to make a decision. This one is about the right size and about the right root development, and let's stick it through the hole, try to push all the roots downward, and same thoughts, setting the clone collar so that the plant touches the bottom of that shallow container. It has a tiny, tiny pump inside that helps to circulate the water. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions. So between these 2 clone cuttings, I think I'm going to choose this one because not only does it have healthy foliage, but it has another growth point down lower. Kind of doubles my opportunities for getting to grow. I actually see a small cucumber that I didn't get the first time when I was snipping these off. I'll just pinch it away. And let's go ahead and guide the last one in. I wouldn't be concerned about the plants flopping around or anything until you get all three in, because as you bump these, they will move around. I think I will probably try to get that light hood up just a little bit more. And I've already added partial strength nutrient into the grow container. So that's all you really have to do. And as mentioned, this mother plant was, oh gosh, it was around 100 days or more and past its prime. And so getting the daughter plants and the grandchildren plants through cuttings, as well as rescuing the ones from the grow system that I just showed you, is an easy way to salvage your plants if you come back from time away and find that perhaps they didn't have optimal care.